Hello dear students. Now in this we will do the basic fundamentals of the thermodynamics. As we know that the term thermo means heat and dynamic means motion. Therefore thermodynamics is concerned with heat motion. Thus the study of thermodynamics must be related to interconversion of heat into work. It deals with almost all forms of energies like potential energy, kinetic energy, radiant energy, electrical energy, etc., accompanying all types of physical and chemical processes. All these forms of energies can be converted into heat and hence they are related to one another quantitatively. And the term thermodynamics is that branch of science which deals with the quantitative relationship between heat and other forms of energy. Now we will do the importance of thermodynamics, why we need to study the thermodynamics. First is it helps to establish criteria for predicting the feasibility of a physical or chemical transformation under a given set of conditions. Thermodynamics tells whether the given reaction is feasible under a given set of conditions or not. And second is it helps to deduce some generalizations of physical chemistry. For example, the laws of thermodynamics are used to deduce the different laws like Van Hoff's law of dilute solutions, Raoult's law of vapor pressure lowering, distribution law, phase rule, and law of chemical equilibrium. And third is it helps in predicting the yield of the products. When we do any chemical reaction, then how much products we'll get. So yield of the product can be asked from the thermodynamics. Now the fourth is it helps in generalizing the experimental results. Now these are the importance of the thermodynamics. Now what are the limitations of the thermodynamics? First of all, the laws of thermodynamics apply only to matter in bulk and does not apply to the individual atoms or molecules. So this is the first limitation of it. Now the second is that it can only predict the possibility of a process but not its success. This is because the criteria of feasibility of a process is based only on the initial and the final states of the process. It does not concern itself with the hurdles in the path of the change. So thermodynamics cannot predict the possibility of a process but not its success. And the third one, it does not tell about the rate of a reaction and it does not tell about the mechanism of a process. So these are very major limitations of the thermodynamics. Now before starting with the laws of the thermodynamics, there are some definitions which we have to study. So first definition is the system. The part of the universe selected for thermodynamic study is termed as a system. For example, boiling water in a beaker is an example of a system. Here in this diagram we can see that this test tube or a beaker containing something or boiling water is the system which is under study. And the second term is the surroundings. The remaining part of the universe around the system which is not under study is called the surroundings. So this is the surroundings. So these are the two definitions. Now comes the third one, and the third one is the boundary. Boundary is the region separating the system from the surroundings, that is called the boundary. For example, this one, this this glass tube or the beaker, this is called as the boundary. So there are so many types of boundaries. So these are the types of boundaries: rigid wall, dithermal wall, adiabatic wall, and a permeable wall. What these boundaries are: a rigid wall is a wall whose shape and positions are fixed. Then comes the dithermal wall, a wall that prevents the passage of matter but allows the flow of energy through it, that is the dithermal wall. Then the adiabatic wall, a wall or boundary that prevents the passage of matter or energy provided no external force is present. And then comes the permeable wall, the permeable wall that allows the passage of matter and energy through it. So these are the types of boundaries. Now comes the types of the systems. There are open system, closed system and isolated system. What these systems are? Open system is a system which can exchange matter, that is as well as energy with the surrounding, is called an open system. For example, evaporation of water from a beaker represents an open system. Then comes the closed system. This is the closed system. What does this mean? A system which may exchange energy but not matter with surroundings is called a closed system. For example, consider boiling of water in a closed vessel. Here heat is transformed from the burner to the system, and steam remains inside the vessel, means the matter does not exchange with the surrounding, only the heat can exchange with the surrounding. Now comes the third one, that is the isolated system. A system which can neither exchange matter nor energy with the surrounding is called the isolated system. So this is the isolated system. For example, thermos bottle we can take as an example in this case. So these are the types of the systems. Now comes the macroscopic systems. A system which consists of a large number of atoms, ions or molecules is called a macroscopic system, means the bulk system is called the macroscopic system, and the measurable properties associated with such a system are called macroscopic properties. For example, temperature, pressure, concentration, mass, composition, density, refractive index, surface tension, viscosity, internal energy and enthalpy, etc. Now comes the homogeneous and heterogeneous systems. These all definitions are very, very important to understand, because all the laws, when we will study those, then these definitions will be very helpful to us. So homogeneous and heterogeneous system. A system is said to be heterogeneous if it is not uniform throughout. For example, this one. And a system is said to be homogeneous if it is uniform throughout. For example, this one. This is the homogeneous system. For example, if you have a mixture of miscible liquids which are miscible with each other, then they will form the homogeneous mixture. And if you will have the mixture of a immiscible liquids, for example oil and water, they will get the layers and those will become the heterogeneous mixtures. Then comes the macroscopic properties. The properties associated with the bulk of the matter with the macroscopic system, those are called as the macroscopic properties, and these are further of two types: extensive properties and intensive properties. What are extensive properties? These properties, they depend upon the amount of the substance. For example, mass, volume, in this picture we can see. And the intensive properties, they depend only upon the nature of the substance and are independent of the amount of the substance. Those are called as intensive properties. So this is very much clear in this picture. And then comes the state of a system. What does the state of a system means? The condition of existence of a system when its macroscopic properties have a definite value is called the state of the system. With the change in one or more macroscopic properties, a system undergoes a change in state. The first and the last state of the system are called initial state and the final state respectively. For example, consider water at 0 degree centigrade and 1 atmospheric pressure, that will be in the solid form. But if we change the temperature and the temperature comes to 1, 2 or 3 degree, then it will start liquefying. So the state of the system changes just by changing the macroscopic properties of the system. So what are the state variables? Those macroscopic properties which when changed cause a change in the state of the system are called state variables. The four most common macroscopic properties to define the state of a system are composition, pressure, volume and temperature. If we change these composition, pressure, volume and the temperature, then our state of the system will change. It means these composition, pressure, volume and temperature, they are the state variables. They are the variables by varying these, the state of the system can change. And these variables are interdependent. That is, PV is equal to nRT, and this is also called as equation of state. If we have fixed composition, then N is fixed, then we'll have the PV is equal to RT. Now in these variables PV and T, these are interrelated, and from here also if we know two variables, and the third one we can calculate. So out of these three variables, P and T are called as independent variables, and the V, the volume, is called as the dependent variable. So the other things we'll study in our next video. Thank you.